And I guarantee you that any and every scientist from any nation state on the planet Gaia that they call Earth, which Earth is just a term that means inhabited place. It's not the name of the planet. Will trace all life form through the woman. And they can lie all day long and try to figure out how to dance around this all day long. And what I don't do is play with them. And you show me any male of anything, they got these buttons. See that button right there? That sucker don't feed nothing. But it's there. Is it not?
Yeah.
I don't wear no bra. But if you think you're going to get fed, you better get some vitamins because you're going to starve. Get over it. Nature doesn't lie. Why do people keep lying? To defend positions that nature doesn't support. And then think they're going to continue to get away with this. We need to stop wasting energy on lies that we've adopted and cultivated to our own injury. Any scientist around the world can tell you anything publicly to get paid, to get funded. And in secret, all their notes trace life forms to the female. They want to study roaches and how to kill them. They want to study the female. They want to study animal life on farms and talk about cultivation and stuff. Yeah, they might do a little bit of genetic stuff on the bull to give them a couple more muscles, but it's only because they want them to stimulate more eggs. That's all he's doing is stimulating, like a little electrical charge. You understand? Well, she got all the eggs on both sides. Every woman got enough eggs in her fallopian tubes to create a nation. That's why the Pope claimed the eggs with the marriage certificate. That they, like the preachers, lie to the people and say it's a contract between them and God in heaven, knowing that it's a bond claimed by the Pope of Rome. And they are a part of it too. Damn suckers. Parasites.
And married
preachers, politicians, pastors are all parasites and partners. And pretending they're separate.
And tie you to the state of.
Mm-hmm. And always complaining about Taji guy and calling me a liar. I say nature supports what I'm saying, and I'll stand on that. And I will never apologize for telling the truth.
You don't have to.
So don't expect it.
We don't expect it.
And I can't be bought. Thank you very not much.
Okay. I don't know what this is a different subject matter, but ask Taj about setting off debt.
Setting off debt. This is what setting off debt is. When the Skull and Bones member, known as Franklin Delano Roosevelt, in 1933, in an action that's noted in congressional records, reestablished another shell corporation that had, of the United States corporation that went bankrupt again. Now that one that went bankrupt was the one that Woodrow Wilson set up in 1913. So keep that in mind. Now, for those of you who are listening and those who asked that question, go look up United States Code of Law 95 subsection A and B. And because the United States Corporation Company is a corporation established for human trafficking and is not a country, they needed funding again, so they needed some humans to sell. So the Pope had already claimed the birth certificates and the wombs of the women, and they've been selling these bonds around the world already, and they went bankrupt again. So they needed some more humans to sell. So they used birth certificates.
You said 12, U.S. Code 95 or 95?
United States Code of Law.
95.
subsection 95A and B. And what it deals with is essentially this. Whenever they make a law, which is really not law, which is really what they call public policy, distinguished from constitutional law, this is human trafficking. So it will always come under public policy and public law. You'll hear those two terms, get familiar. They have to put remedy. Are we clear? But they never explain remedy. Are we clear? Therefore, since they sold the people again, right? It's called House Joint Resolution 192, 73rd Congress in session, June the 5th of 1933. And they pledged all the birth certificates for the hatched eggs from the women of the eggs that they didn't kill in the wars and stuff to back the United States Corporation Shell, the new one's debt. Rule. All the debts of the United States issued against the bonds leaned against the birth certificates of the people shall be the debt obligations of the United States. All transfers that are made in the name of payments are not really payments, but they are coupons that can be redeemed against the United States, but shall be sent out to the people as bills when there is no debt, for they are liens against the existing sister QV trusts that are attached to the global estate trust set up by Rome. And all debts are already paid by the United States. So when they send you a bill, they're double dipping. And number two, that no bills or debts can be paid with private commercial paper. Therefore, on all instrumentalities of the books, which they have 2 or more ledgers at all times, of the United States, shall be set off and discharged, but not paid. That's what discharge is. Discharge is a set-off, which means it's put off into the future, but it's not paid. It doesn't disappear. It's set off. So these two terms, write that down, discharge and set off. Yeah. So anything that is done with this instrument under the Jesuit order of the United States Corporation, subdivision, colony, owned then and owned now by England, which is occupying Northwest Territories, factually known as Morocco, Al-Marak, America, by the Jesuit order, any transfers of any fiat categorized credits or paper is discharged. Always and never paid. And the obligation is to the United States, not to the people. This is why they get mad when the people discover this and try to discharge themselves, because they've been held to wardship. And the local municipal operators always want to be your trustee so that they can rob you. That's why they discharge and will attack you if you try to discharge, while they're obligated to the fact that it's a discharge. Which means they're belligerent trustees and focers, aren't they?
That's right. That's right.
Now you understand why those who really understand the system start putting liens on them. Because that's the only way you can hit them. Because they do not respect the law. They're actually breakers of the law. Are we clear? So 95 subsection A and B.
Did you have a 12 on there? Cause somebody, you didn't say it. Right?
Yes, I put it in the flash drive that you.
No, is it 12 then 95 or just?
Yes.
What?
Yes, 12, yes.
USC 12?
Yes.
Okay.
No,
Subsection 95.
No, it's 12.
Subsection.
It's 12 USC 95A.
Yes.
Okay.
Taj.
Yes, go ahead.
Black's Law, I'm in the 5th edition. I'm on page 416, discharge.
Go ahead, Paul. Listen to this carefully. That's Naila.
Discharge. To release, liberate, annul, unburden, disencumber, dismiss, to extinguish an obligation, to terminate employment of a person, release as from prison, confinement, or military service. Discharge is a generic term. Its principal species are rescission, release, accord, and satisfaction, performance, judgment, compensation, bankruptcy, merger. Discharge, to release, liberate, annul, unburden, disencumber, dismiss, to extinguish an obligation. Discharge.
So now, once you begin to study, and once you understand the issue of the lost estate, quote unquote, that Noble Drawley talked about, and when he talked about the operations of colonial operations, he said the Europeans are living off your virtues. And he said, children, you have no idea you're just rich. What is he talking about? He's talking about that. And he says, if you doubt that the program that I had the prophet have, in relationship to my people and the citizens, go to those who know law. Did he not say that? And what are these people who keep saying that they're grand sheiks in the Moorish Science Temple keep saying Drawley didn't teach law, Drawley didn't teach civics? Well, yet the Moorish Temple of Science was registered as a civic organization. They're lying on him, so you can understand why they're attacking us.
Still in Black's Law, Taj.
Go ahead.
Again, page 116, this is the 5th edition. Still on discharge. As applied to demands, claims, rights of action, encumbrance, etc. To discharge the debt or claim is to extinguish it, to annul its obligatory force, to satisfy it. And here also the term is generic. Thus, a debt, a mortgage, a legacy may be discharged by payment or performance or by an act short of that, lawful in itself, which the creditor accepts as sufficient. Governs discharge of commercial instruments. To discharge a person is to liberate him from the binding force of an obligation, a debt, or a claim.
So now, what do you comprehend from that when you understand just that little conversation? That the average person, even given this information, a lot of them, unless they've been studying, it still goes over their heads. And it is this. The so-called national debt is a fraud and doesn't exist. That's why they don't want you to nationalize.
It doesn't exist to the living, breathing, sentient
It doesn't
being.
exist. It belongs to the United States Corporation Company of England and
Islam.
not to you.
Islam.
They're claiming to be the legitimate government and then trying to put it on you when actually they're de facto and a fraud. And the debt is theirs that they've been converting on you all the time.
People gonna be
It's
upset.
discharged already.
That's right.
Now, Dr. Naila,
Here it comes.
I talk to you. We have a lot of conversations, outside of this venue. and you get into subject matter that some people would call deep, right? But it's common to you. You know, and I know, in a lot of our conversations, we can get into a lot of subject matter that would be absolutely interesting to these people. What good would it do when their foundation isn't there? What is to pump ego that I can get on multiple subject matters and sound interesting? I'm not interested in sounding interesting. I'm interested in solution. I'm interested in resolution.
There you go.
Yep.
I'm interested in remedy.
There you go.
I'm interested in uplifting fallen humanity. I'm not interested in ego. I'm not interested in titles. I'm not interested in collecting a lot of fiat. You already know what I'm able to do, skill-wise, anyway.
Right.
The time that I'm doing here, that I spend here and doing other things, I could use my skills and go generate a lot of this stuff and live quite comfortably.
Absolutely.
But I would not be happy. What I do is not just for the people, it's for my own therapy. To some degree, it's selfish, and I admit it. Do you understand? Because I wouldn't be happy. I like peace, and I like happiness. This doesn't make me happy, so therefore I can't be bought. So the only thing they can do is attack me, call me a liar, and wish they could get one of their Grand Sheik wearing a turban and fez Negroite guys who was a COI agent to call me a liar on video, who can't prove that I'm a liar. But they're counting on the fact that the people aren't awake. However, I don't have to do anything. I'm not bad, because the people are going to come choke him when they find out that he's an agent for the CIA. Once they have the knowledge, I don't want to tell them anything. Because it's their birthright, not mine. It's their birthright. It just has to dawn on them that it's their birthright. See, as long as they think it's your stuff, my stuff, your stuff, your Taj guys stuff, ain't my stuff. It's their stuff. It hasn't, some people it hasn't dawned on them what birthright really is yet. You wait till it dawns on them. You know, that's why Drew said when Drew was on the scene, he said, if I told you everything, you go back to sleep. The half has not been told. He said, if I told these Moors everything, they'd tear something up. That's why they're mad, because Taji guys telling them some of the other half that they've been cheated out of by some of these grand sheiks and sheikesses and grand moderators and grand governors who were put in power to make law and then turn around and lie to the people and say Drawley didn't make law and they don't deal with this constitution stuff that Taji guy's talking about.
I'll just say this. Timothy Boyd, yes, this is live, but we cannot get to every question or comment that you put there. This is live. Did you get that? Thank you.
But we're trying.
It's all right. We can't get every question, every comment. It's one
Yeah,
word that wants to know this is live. This is live.
And this is why
we just can't get to everyone.
Concept. If we get concept across, we've answered your question.
Listen.
If you understand see, this is really what it is. And I want to explain this to everyone, because I understand the frustration. Because people are asking questions, and they're legitimate questions. And even the criticisms are legitimate.
Absolutely.
They're coming from what they know. But they're also coming from what they do not know. Our position is to do what we can do to share with people information that we know is systematically held back from them so that they can make better decisions and not to destroy institutions. The institutions are being destroyed because they're frauds. Not because we're exposing them, it's because they're frauds. And as people grow up and stop being believers and start being knowers, it is they who are tearing down the institutions, not Taji guy.
And you know what I've noticed, Grand Sheik?
Yes, go ahead.
Even some of the questions and the comments that are put there are those on the live feed that will respond, and their response is valid. So it's really no need for me to even us to bring that question to you, because I see where it's been answered by someone else.
Because they know.
They just they maybe they just want to hear their name read or their question read, but somebody's responding, and that's what you want. You're not making followers of Taj Tarik Bey, and I don't know how much more
we
takes
do
to stress that
not
point.
promote that. We are against followership.
Absolutely.
That's what got you in trouble. It is. We're for liberating.
Islam.
We're for presenting fundamental principles to people where we can come together and build things for humanity, not compete
Islam.
and argue. That's what's wrong. Are we clear? Back to other principles which we're talking, me and the brother was talking earlier. Because some people run into this problem.
Yeah.
One of the experiences or lessons, life lessons that you yourself knew of but demonstrated a few weeks back. So I don't have to tell you, you experience it. Now it's yours.
Yeah.
2-3 years ago, I could tell you these things and you could look at it and be interested, not believe it.
Right.
But it's different when you walk the walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So get out of the boat, Peter.
There you go.
Walk the water.
Talk about a tribunal.
Now it becomes your own.
Yeah.
Now, irregardless of what takes place with others or what others say,
Right.
you understand better, even though you already knew jurisdiction.
Yeah.
But the administrative clerk
Yeah.
told you, I have no jurisdiction.
I have no jurisdiction.
Do they publish that?
No.
You damn right they ain't. Do them club members wearing cheeks who've been making these videos tell the people that? No, they'll say, Taj guy got Mustafa in trouble.
Ha ha. What no trouble? We got ribbon.
No, what we've been doing is trying to get people out of trouble.
Islam.
And people come to us in trouble because they haven't been helping them.
Islam.
And their job was to help the people. And they've actually betrayed the people.
Oh yeah.
That's why they spend their time attacking us instead of Rome.
Right.
They accept a stranger before their own blood.
25.
In violation of their own law. So we already know they're frauds.
Yeah.
But the deal is the people are starting to learn that they're frauds. And they're mad. They think we're attacking them. We're not attacking them. We're just teaching the people the truth. And the people are seeing them for what they really are. That's all. And saying,
the truth will withstand.
yeah, they've been collecting for 70 years of bus fund. I ain't seen a bus yet. Maybe Taj, you guys started saying something there. They've been collecting funds for 100 years for building the roof. And it's still leaking. Maybe Taj, you guys just telling the truth, maybe. How about that? Please. These people are full of it. Give it a mic. I want you on the mic because I don't want none of it missed.
I just thought about what I was going to say.
Oh, before an hour ago.
Hey. First thing to go.
Islam.
Islam.
And just having a general conversation with Amor, he said one of the things that he's having trouble with is you will see the forerunners, you would say, are the Moors that are not in the temple, will say they're upholding fallen humanity and they're upholding the mission of Prophet Noble Ali. However, when they go to visit the temple, inside the temple they would say, well, the Moors are not upholding the bylaws and constitution of what the prophets say. I think he said 4, 5, and 6 of the bylaws, which states that Moors must be part and partial with this said government.
It said part and parcel of this said government and must live the life accordingly.
Okay, hold your wisdom for a second. I'm just having a
Go
conversation.
ahead.
It must be part and parcel. He said partial, so I'm just gonna
Go what he said.
say conversation. He stated that the bylaw states one must be part and partial of this said government, and to not overthrow this said government.
Being Moorish American,
Okay.
you are part and parcel of this said government and must live the life accordingly. Now, you must identify this said government.
That was my conversation. That was my response back. Let's look at the time period of which the bylaws were created. Let's look at that aspect. So let's
Prior to 1933.
That's why I said let's take all this. I said let's look at the establishment of the Moorish Science Temple, of that time period, the Canaanite Temple, the Moorish Science Temple in 1913. I said let's look
Old
at
Canaanite Temple, Moorish Temple of Science,
I'm
then Moorish Science Temple of America.
I'm giving you a conversation.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm giving you a conversation. Okay, so let's look at the time period of the bylaws. So you're making a statement in today's current government system does not fit in the time period of which the bylaws was created.
Therefore,
so you see a conflict, but the conflict comes into where the prophet said uphold the main thing stands the same with the foundation to uphold the Constitution. So it's not saying negate the bylaws because the bylaws was before the overthrow.
Very simple. This is very simple.
So let's get into that
Let's get into that. This is very simple.
Mm-hmm.
You know how we always told people from the round table for years, one of the first things that we do as a protocol is send them to the temples so that they can see for themselves, not what we say, that they can experience for themselves the contradiction between the people who are running them temples, and then when we send them to the microfilm to read Noble Drawley's statements, including the divine warning by the prophet for the nations, and that's plural, not singular. The Moorish leaders' message to America, in particular, religious controversy, all of these are established documents set forth by Noble Drawley, including the letter that he commanded to be read before every meeting a few months before they assassinated him, that they don't read. So when you give to answer the question or the conversation, and even surrounding questions that will arise around it, I'll just take some excerpts from the prophet's divine warning from the prophet for the nations. Doesn't he say, he says, help me in my great missionary work to bring my people back into the constitutional fold of government, enforcing our Constitution for the United States of America. He's talking about the Republic. He also says, and since that Constitution has declared every man free and equal, and since that Constitution has never changed, right? So he's telling you what the missionary work is, and he's saying the Constitution has never changed, which it has not. Then he said, the half has not been told. If I told you everything, you go back to sleep. So as soon as you begin to study, he says, one of the charges he put on the people, he says, study. And when you would have studied well, and would ask me what to study next, I would reply, study yourselves. And as soon as you begin to study that Constitution, you find about the breach and why they murdered Lincoln. Then you find about the secret oligarchy set up by the congressmen and the senators and the real missionary work on why they murdered Lincoln. Then you discover that the republic was overthrown, and they pretended to change the Constitution by changing "for" into "of."
That's it.
And actually made it a private document and denied the people the use of it to defend their birthright. And set up a democracy order, a feudal law, contrary to that Constitution. And now you get a concept of why Noble Drew Ali approached the Queen of England, commanding her to respect the treaties and the Constitution. And he founded the old Canaanite temple. Canaan, Palestine, Canaan, Palestine, the bankers. Oh, then in 1913, he set up the old Canaanite temple. Immediately, Woodrow Wilson in 1913 met with the Jesuit order on Jekyll Island and sold the United States Corporation because it crashed. Then they converted all allodial titles and all aboriginal titles to mortgages and deeds, 1913. Do you think that's circumstantial? Do you think these grand governors and grand chiefs of the Moorish Science Temple will dare tell the Moorish American members that history? They won't touch it. They will tell them that Taji guy is telling lies and is going to get you killed by Rome. Because they're in partnership with Rome. And their position is threatened. Taji guy is talking too much. And he won't take the payoff. So they're upset with Taji guy and people around me. So they attack people around me to try to break up any unity or strength that's there because it's threatening all of them. Are we clear?
Clear.
Not only that, he said, help me in my great missionary work enforcing that Constitution. And them same grand chiefs have been getting away with years telling the people that Drew Ali didn't teach civics. Not only that, you go to the microfilm in Chicago, because I went to the library, in Chicago, I get around. Yeah. And it said part and parcel, which means land, doesn't mean attitude. Part and partial means attitude. Part and parcel means land, a section of land, L-A-N-D. How did that all of a sudden change when they got rid of Noble Drew Ali? And then no one wants to talk about it. Did they have a constitutional convention? I'm not aware of it. That's just one little thing. Also in the Moorish leaders' message to America, it states, in fact, and you don't research it yourself, because that's all microfilm. Moorish Holy Temple of Science was registered as a civic organization.
Still says that.
I repeat, I know a lot of people, I'm so glad them grand chiefs can't throw sneaks through the mic. Because they can throw sneaks right now, the old stinky ones too. I'd be up here going like this.
Tomatoes.
They really want me dead. I already know they do. However, I'm not afraid of them. Anyway, he said, and this is on record, the Moorish Temple of Science was registered as a civic organization. 1925, 1926. Right in time when the United States had to what? Establish another shell in 1925, which is why I shared those papers with you all. Do you know how many grand chiefs got mad when I started sharing that information in Chicago and with other people? Yes, I see the brother, he's going into the literature. Well, he got skates on, you got Teflon skates on and stuff, right?
Come on,
We're doing a moonwalk and stuff.
Run out of time. Here we go. We're in Moorish literature, Moorish.
Oh, can you come up here, please?
Oh, come on, Doc.
Can we go look at that like for a minute,
Yeah, you
please?
want here?
No. Look right there in the camera.
Okay, here we go.
Like that. Go ahead.
Uh,
Identify the literature. Take the cover and go in front of the camera and then pull it. No, go get. Because they pretend they don't see this stuff. No.
On the record, for the record,
Let me help you out.
let the record show and reflect.
Let me help you out.
Yeah.
It's called this.
Oh, there it is. Oh.
Then you got that other camera.
Then it's called this.
We got 2 cameras.
Then it's called this.
Turn down the camera.
Then it's called this.
Back it up a little bit.
And like this.
Up like that.
And like that.
Not that far. Down. Right.
And like this.
Up with it.
Wait, I'll give you a minute enough so y'all can pull it up on your screen.
Oh, God.
The point is, what he's showing you is something
Now,
that comes
and
from
he's going to read
the
it.
Moorish
All
science
right, now
temple
you
of
read
America.
it. Now go ahead.
Okay.
Excuse me very much. And this should answer a lot of
Moorish
questions.
literature. This is the Moorish Science Temple of America, Incorporated, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, founder. And I'm on page, and this is what they pass out, and they give out that you can acquire in the temple.
Remember, Taj, you guys didn't make this up. They
Page
called me a
18.
liar for saying this.
Taj sent me to the temple a few years back. So, and this is what they gave me. Moorish leaders, historical message to America. I'm not going to read it all the time.
So that's not to the temple, that's to America, isn't it? So that's universal, isn't it?
Moorish leaders, historical message. Moorish leaders, historical message to America. I'm going to go a couple paragraphs, all right?
No, you read it.
In connection with the aims and objects, rules, regulations of the Moorish Science Temple of America, I deem it proper to submit to you a brief statement of our organization, covering its inception, rise, and progress, and of the Mohammedan religion, which I hope will be satisfactory to you and be the means of causing you at all times to adhere to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice in your relation to mankind in general. I further, most anxiously, hope this brief statement will help you to more clearly see the duty and wisdom of, at all times, upholding those fundamental principles which are desired for our civilization, for our civilization of our posterity, such as obedience to law, respect and loyalty to government, tolerance and unity. We organized as the Moorish Temple of Science in the year 1925 and were legally incorporated as a civic organization.
Back up and read that part again.
We organized as the Moorish Temple of Science in the year of 1925 and were legally incorporated as a civic organization.
Back up and read that again.
We organized as the Moorish Temple of Science in the year of 1925 and were legally incorporated as a civic organization under the laws of the state of Illinois. Now,
Excuse me.
they don't allow civics.
Not only you go in some of them temples and even say the word civics.
And it's a problem.
And somebody with a turban and fez on is pulling a rope out of the drawer. Damn, got a rope in the drawer? and looking for a pole to lynch you, calling you enemy to the prophet, saying that you're lying, saying that you're a Tajiite, made that stuff up, that you're going to get people in trouble and you're going to get people killed when it's really them that they're talking about that's been killing people, including some of them who really murdered the prophet.
And this book comes from
That's
the
the
temple.
truth.
I got this from the temple. I yield, God.
Oh, you don't have to yield, but it's appreciated. I love your modesty. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Don.
The deal of it is when you begin to examine what the prophet said and what he really established for us in activity, including the Rotarian nature of the movement, which is universal, and the harmonies promoted among all mankind, they will say things that are absolutely opposite of that and condemn me as a liar for telling that to the people, saying I'm creating confusion. Well, I say I don't apologize. And I'm going to apologize so you guys don't look for an apology from me because you ain't getting it. And I ain't your club member, and I don't care how disaffected you are. and you can take your little titles and your little ribbons and go float in the nearest leech-infested pond where you probably belong with it. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Tamara, I think that answers a lot of questions. Not me, the prophet's words.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, they can take it as they will. You know, but what they're not going to do is call Taj a liar and get away with it and then say that they're supporting Noble Drew Ali, because they're not supporting Noble Drew Ali, they're liars. But they know that most people don't read and don't see that, or they don't pay attention, or they read past it without paying attention to what's being said. You know, like people start repeating things like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Damn, he can count. How much is 2 and 2? 2 and 2 is 4. How much is 4 and 4? 4 and 4 is 8. How much is 100 and 100? And they start getting confused. Same rule applied. What's up with y'all? You get the whole point? Well, if you got 3 numbers instead of 2, man, that's not fair. No, the same rule. If you can count, the numbers don't matter. The principle doesn't change. All of a sudden, grand governors of the Moorish Science Temple keep telling people, they don't teach no civics and shit here, that Tajiite stuff. This is a religious organization. They're lying and always have been liars.
Divine and national.
Now, when you look on the back of the questionnaire, which says our authority, and then you go to the microfilm in Chicago and look at the microfilm, it says, the Moorish Temple of Science adopted, write the word adopt, what that means, as its corporate name, the Moorish Science Temple of America. So did the Moorish Temple of Science disappear? It did not. It adopted the Moorish Science Temple of America as its corporate name. Get that mic and come back up here. You ain't getting away with this.
I must state for the record that what I'm about to bring is what the temple gave me, Todd.
He's going to state for the record he got Teflon sneaks on.
Where you want me to go?
I want you to read it. Yo, you come over here. The camera.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, like, I'm going to move this chair over.
No, you're good. Come on, Todd.
Right.
Our authority, copy, book 521, page 579, State of Illinois.
Slow down, because they'll pretend that they didn't hear what you were reading.
Page 579, State of Illinois, Cook County. Then it says SS, which is synopsis series. Number 101.
Which means subsection in law.
That's
Go
right.
ahead.
1015905, and that's a decision ruling, Taj.
Oh, yeah.
Corporation, religions, affidavit
So it's a religious affidavit, isn't it?
of organization.
Thank you so much.
Form number 1099. State of Illinois, County of Cook. SS 1928, August 1st, what is that? At 2:52 p.m.
So it's giving you time, it's 1928, right?
Yeah,
Is
1928.
that 1913?
1928.
Is that 1913?
1928.
Is that 1913?
No,
Nobody say
1928.
so.
No,
Well, go
no.
ahead. I'll go read it.
And recorded in book 521, page 579. I, Noble Drew Ali, recorder. The recorder is Salams Jastanowicz, Skik. Moorish Science Temple of America, held at Chicago in the county of Cook.
The microfilm said Moorish Temple of Science held at County of Cook a meeting and adopted as its corporate name the Moorish Science Temple of America. And they altered that document too, conveniently. But go ahead and read it out anyway.
Okay, I got the corrected version. You want me?
No.
Held at Chicago in the county of Cook at State of Illinois on the 20th day of July, AD 1928. For that purpose, the following persons were appointed sheiks, according to the rules and usage of such Moorish Temple of America, you got something to say? Do solemnly swear at the meeting of the members of the noble jure, Merely Eel, Small Bay, Lovett Bay, and Foreman Bay, the Moorish Science Temple of America, deriving its power and authority from the great Quran of Muhammad to propagate the faith and extend the learning and truth of the great prophet of Ali in America, to appoint and consecrate missionaries of the prophet, and to establish the faith of Muhammad in America. And said Moorish Science Temple of America adopted as its corporate name the following Moorish Science Temple of America.
It's already obvious that's an oxymoron, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
That's saying Sears adopted the corporate name Sears. Wait. Sears had a meeting to adopt a corporate name Sears. Wait. Sears had a meeting to adopt another name, and the other name is Sears. Wait a minute. Lay's Potato Chips had a meeting to change their name to Lay's Potato Chips. You didn't need that meeting. You get the point. Now the microfilm says, Moorish Temple of Science. They had a meeting, and the Moorish Temple of Science adopted as its corporate name the Moorish Science Temple of America.
That's right. No, we have that corrected version. Let me 20 seconds. I had the privilege of getting, this is what they pass out in the vast majority of all the temples, what I'm reading. And of course we can acquire.
Except the one in Newark, New Jersey where he founded the temple, and also the one in Asbury Park, and the one in Canyonland.
Right.
They will pass out the original material, which would be contradictory.
So we were able to grab, through Taj, I'm going to tell all the solar returns you had.
Have fun.
He had in his possession that was very helpful to us, a very, very old 101. And there's clear that infiltration has obviously taken place. And the books have, somebody has come in with unclean hands and a horrid soul, and it's presenting fraudulent or modified, do we want to use that a good one? Modified information of truth.
Slightly altered.
Altered information of truth. And presenting it as truth, and that's a huge problem.
So confuse zeros
the
on
vast
the bill.
majority of the Moorish Science Temple, if you're in the temple and you're getting this information, it is not the de jure. How's that for your word today?
So now we're talking de facto and de jure again, aren't we? And as we talked about earlier, because me and Dr. Nairo was having a conversation, and because we whenever I get a chance, we talk, and as any of you who already know, she's very humble and modest about a lot of things, but you already know that she can get deep.
Islam.
But that's just the nature of her. You know what I mean? And then plus she has a poetic mind. So you already need, she thinks multifacetedly. She thinks on multifaceted levels. And so when we usually get in a conversation, we always have to end it without ever finishing it.
Like tonight.
Yeah. Truthfully. And so a lot of times, that's why I just try to prime her to get involved. Because a lot of times she'll back off and everything. But the real deal is, she has so much to offer to people analysis-wise. And I encourage her to do that because it'd be very helpful. And because she's modest in so many areas, she says, well, I'm not so grounded in that. Yes, she is, but I am, and you go ahead and do that because I'm not. Yes, she is. So I'll ask her, and I'll, just put her on the spot and just go, say, well, go ahead and jump in and do this, because I already know when she does, she'll let them little jewels out. That's why a lot of times I tell her to keep the mic. I think we got to get 3 mics out here. 2
I
and
might
up.
close your mail now.
But go ahead. I know we're over time, but
Oh,
go ahead.
okay, yeah, this is.
But go ahead. Say what you think. Now, this is the point, and this is relative to some of the questions that are on the board that are not, people don't get a chance to answer, or to ask, or to be answered.
I think we pretty much.
The deal of it is, as we always say, and we will say again, if the people read the divine warning by the prophet for the nations,
Islam.
and the historic message to America, that will answer so many questions for anybody, any researcher anywhere on the planet that says, like, what's that Moorish movement is all about? And one thing that any honest researcher will come to the conclusion, undoubtedly, is that he's telling you that where you are now, you will not be later. That you're brought in on an introductory level. And that they don't stay stuck here. And he also told the Moors this, and keep this in mind, and this is also what has a lot of these COINTELPRO operatives upset with us. And they will never tell the people this. Noble Drew Ali says, the nations of the world and the nations of the earth have your history. He said the Moorish Divine National Movement has a Rotarian complexion. So write that down, Rotarian. Write that down, Rotarian. And do the research. And then compare that to people telling you that you can't be a Moor, which is your bloodline and your pedigree, if you don't come to their particular temple, that they themselves help compromise. Which is also why they won't read that letter that we published in the Moroccan Star in 201. And also why a lot of them grand governors are mad at Taji guys for publishing that letter, making people aware of its existence that they've been hiding. Now, for those of you who don't know, I got that letter from two people. From Assistant Grand Sheik Neil Day, Elijah, who was Assistant Grand Sheik at number 10, Moorish Science Temple on Liberty Street in Camden. And the other was Grand Sheik Hamid Eel, who was the last Grand Sheik to walk with the Prophet Noble Drew Ali in the flesh and maintain the integrity of the Moorish Temple of Science, Holy Temple of Science in Newark, New Jersey, where Noble Drew Ali founded the old Canaanite temple and maintained the integrity of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. And that's a fact. And he's the one who gave me his own Quran and gave me also the bylaws off the wall in a frame, which I have today on my wall. And the first time he met me, he said, because I know you're going to do something with it. I never met the man before and I've never seen him after. And that's what I've been sharing with you all. Come on up here, brother.
All right, this is the letter to be proclaimed in every meeting. This was instruction given by Noble Drew Ali.
Before you read that letter, can I present this question to the listeners and to questions that come up on your board that we don't get a chance to offer? I always send the people to the temple, and some of these Grand Sheiks and Sheikas of the Moorish Science Temple have accused Taji guy of stealing temple members or telling them not to go to the temple, and that's the first place I send them. That's for them to have their experience, to see what's against them so that they can protect the prophet and the movement. Because I know when they're awakened, they will clean them temples up. Just like the prophet said, they're going to start coming in with their eyes wide open. They just didn't think anybody would be out here opening these people's eyes. Now, this is the letter that the prophet himself commanded to be read before every meeting. And I guarantee you, for these people who've been looking at these videos set up by the COINTELPRO operatives with turbans and fezzes on, particularly in recent days, ask them when you go to them temples why they don't read this letter. Now read the letter clearly, slowly, completely. Date and time.
Moorish Science Temple of America, Home Office, 3603 Indiana Avenue. Noble Drew Ali, founder. Chicago, Illinois, January 18th, 1929, to be proclaimed in every meeting. Dear brother Islam, I'm glad to know that I have few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as an American citizen, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they themselves may take charge of the situation. I've notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that contribute to the movement and the uplifting funds, the one that pay their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it bad. Never before have I needed finance as badly as I do at present, that I may shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nation of the world will not recognize the movement without me, the prophet, being the head. It has been proven by my work in which I have performed in the last few months, because I was at the governor's inauguration to present the Moorish Divine and National Movement, and I will be at the inauguration of President Hoover for the same cause. Noble Drew Ali.
So you can see that he represented the Moorish Divine and National Movement. He wasn't talking about the temples, because the temples were neutralized. You get the point? That's the sellout. That's why they won't read it. And he makes the connection to the Moorish Divine and National Movement to the world, not some club. And you're supposed to be doing what? Meeting with the heads of government. Because it's your estate, it's your birthright that they've been misguiding. What happens if you don't speak up? Is it not called tacit acquiescence? Didn't he say take your places among the affairs of men? So why are they upset with Light to Jure? Why are they upset with Sharon? Why are they upset with me? Why? Because we took those facts to the people, and some of the people are starting to activate them, and they think they don't have the right to speak up for their own birthright, since those traitors have not been doing it. After all, they ain't into civics, so they ain't got no business arguing about civics anyway. Do they?
None.
They supposed to be in some corner praying. Because they're only a religious organization, so why are they complaining about what we're doing in the civic arena? All of a sudden now they're interested in civics but not admitting it?
We read that the purpose for founding it was for civics.
Of course it was. It's called government. It's called social duties and responsibilities. Now, anyway, thank you all for coming out to the House of ReAwakening Minds. Thank you, Dr. Nail, for being patient, as you are and have been. Thank you, Tamara, for doing the camera work and the background productions and all that stuff, because very often the people in the background never get much credit. You know what I mean? Thank you, Mustafa, for interjecting, carrying your law book.
It's not.
Because we don't have to bring it from over there and whatever.
We want to thank you for being here. We also want to make the announcement that on next Friday there will be no class here at the House of ReAwakening Minds. It's the third Friday. We're going to be out of town. Both Sister Tamara, we're going to wish her a happy solar return in advance. And we have weekend, so we will be traveling. But on the fourth Friday, then Grand Sheik will be back here. Grand Sheik. So normally it is the 1st and 3rd, but for this month only, it's the 2nd and the 4th. There is no 3rd Friday class. And we will do Impress Us. We'll get Impress Us up in there if we have to do it on a Wednesday or a Thursday, but we're going to do, give over our 4th Friday to our Grand Sheik so that we can make sure that we can hear from him.
And what we can do, take the questions that go unanswered and pick the prime ones that haven't been answered in the context, and we'll build around it. Because we really need to fix some things. Because the truth of the matter is that the people are going to fix their own problems.
Absolutely.
We just got to try to encourage them to trust themselves. And just share with them some fundamental information so that they can stop doubting themselves and stop looking for leaders. This is not the age of leader guys. The leader guy era ended in Pisces.
That's right.
You're now entering 5th dimension with Aquarian lights. Get used to it. You will be required to confess your own. And with that, I yield the floor. Have a grand evening.
Thank you so much. And we thank you for those who have asked for our Cash App and our PayPal. We didn't post PayPal, but thank you for your support. We do always need your continued support to make sure we continue to bring this venue to you. And thank you to Sister Tamara, who is my right arm, left arm, and the hammer. Tamara the hammer. Love her to life. And I thank her for all the help and work that she does here at the House of ReAwakening Minds. Islam.
And you all can take these synonyms and kind of like take the pictures and just study them later, and then do some work, add to that in concept. Because that's the politics that's going on. And that's your charge now in particularly North America, which is the beacon light for the rest of the world that has to be fixed. You're charged with making sure that is in place and that this is removed. Because that's what's been in operation. That's why the people are poor. That's why the land is broke. That's why all the wars around the planet have been happening, these constant wars. All because of the imposters who have been pretending to be de jure, but are actually imposters. Are we clear? Yeah. Now, the birthright theft is based on what can be done in that gray area to the people while looking like they're honest. It's sort of like the wolf in the Little Red Riding Hood type thing. She goes out with a basket of biscuits and stuff like that to her grandmother's house. She comes back with hoodies all over the side. She's pregnant. One of her keisters is missing. Ain't got no biscuits and nothing else. Who did that? Grandma. I thought that was Grandma. And I asked her about her nails, but,
Say goodnight.
And she said she had her dentures done and her nails and stuff.
Say goodnight. Say goodnight. Say goodnight.
It's on.